And I asked her, do we need to talk about something? And she said, no. I said, what about your son? What's going on there? I heard X, Y. She said, his dad is dead. I said, his dad is dead? She said, yes, his dad is dead.
You don't believe you're her biological father?
Not really.
Why?
Because I don't remember her mother at all.
You don't remember her mother?
I don't know her mother.
You don't know her mother?
No.
I thought it would maybe be her place to tell.
You'd have shut your mouth, it still would be my place.
Well, anyway, I told him.
Do you know who Monica's father is?
Yeah, it's a friend.
The episode kicks off with the usual courtroom pleasantries. Everyone's saying hello and looking spiffy. Jerome, the trusty court officer, steps up to the mic and drops the name of today's dramatic face-off, Lewis versus McAllister. Just a typical day in court, right? Hang on tight, it's just getting started.
Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
This is a case of Lewis versus McAllister.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Good morning. Mr. Lewis, you say you've always known the defendant is your father.
Judge Lake lays down the facts with a bit of flair. Mr. Lewis is convinced Mr. McAllister is his old man, despite McAllister's firm nope on the matter. Today's DNA test might just end a mystery older than some fine wines. Buckle up, folks. This courtroom roller coaster is about to take off.
You hope today's result put an end to this 44-year-old mystery. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister, you claim that years of doubt have given you reason to believe that you are not father, but you may know who is. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are ready to prove your case today.
Mr. Lewis takes the stage and shares a heartfelt tale of growing up fatherless in South Central Los Angeles. He talks about the tough times and the empty chair at dinner. It's more than just a sob story. It's his life, and today, he's hoping for some long-awaited answers. Next up, does Mr. McAllister keep dodging daddy duty?
How has Mr. McAllister's denial affected you?
Well, growing up in South Central Los Angeles, it was tough not having a father there. You know, knowing that you have one, you know, there's different things that went on through my life that, you know, not having a man there to answer different questions, you know, it made things a lot tougher for me coming up, you know, but thank God that everything worked out.
Mr. McAllister fires back with why he's been dodging the dad label, tossing out a buffet of conflicting stories that would confuse anyone. He reminisces about a brief fling with Mr. Lewis's mom after a high school dance gone wild. Hold on, because this paternity puzzle is about to throw us another curveball.
Testimony.
Yes,
it was
I do.
very difficult growing up knowing he had a dad, that he was nowhere to be found.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that? Were you doubtful all of these years?
Yes, ma'am. And the reason why I was doubtful, because I heard maybe 3 or 4 different versions of who the dad was, and that put doubt in my mind. And I would just like to know, before I leave here, the actual truth is.
Dive into the details of a single steamy night that might have started it all, courtesy of Mr. McAllister's trip down memory lane. He thought it was just a fleeting high school romance, but surprise, it could have left a lifelong legacy. What's coming will make your jaw drop.
What was the nature of your relationship with Mr. Lewis's mother?
Me and Miss Lewis, we attend the same high school together, and I knew her as a casual friend. However, the young lady that I was dating at the time, we either had our differences or whatever, and somehow Mrs. Lewis hooked up for an evening and never talked to her from that point on.
Now, Mr. Lewis paints a vivid picture with words about his mom's influence, complete with an actual photo of McAllister as potential pops. It's a poignant peek into his past hopes and heartaches, but keep those tissues handy. There's more emotion to unpack.
Well, my mom, you know, because the type of woman she was, she didn't want to allow the turmoil from that interfere with my life. But as a woman, we had to move on.
What did she say specifically?
She let me know who he was as a father. She had a picture of him. She gave me this picture.
And so when you got this picture and you had the name, did you ever say, I want to look for him? Where is he?
Yeah, at that point in my life, I definitely wanted to know who he was.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Mr. McAllister reveals a plot twist from '81. A random family reunion turned intel drop leads him to question everything he thought he knew about fatherhood. The saga continues, and it's about to get even juicier.
I traveled to Los Angeles back in '81, and I ran into a relative of the family. And this individual told me that their relative had my son. And I got the information, and I called Mrs. Lewis, and I asked her, do we need to talk about something? And she said, no. I said, what about your son? What's going on there? I heard X, Y. She said, his dad is dead. I said, his dad is dead? She said, yes, his dad is dead.
With each recount of the conflicting paternity tales, Mr. McAllister's doubt grows thicker than a plot in a soap opera. He's here today to cut through the rumors with the sharp blade of DNA truth. But don't wander off. The real bombshell is just moments away.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. McAllister, you are the father.
All right, gather around, folks, because Phelan Hannon is about to drop a real bombshell in court today. Phelan Hannon shares her story about growing up believing one man was her father until he denied paternity when she was 13. Her mother confessed on her deathbed that another man, the defendant David Dorsey, is her biological father. Phelan is seeking to prove paternity and gain closure. If you thought your family reunions were awkward, just wait until you see what's coming next.
Miss Hannon, you grew up believing one man was your father until the age of 13 when he said, "I am not your daddy."
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother then told you on her deathbed that another man, the defendant David Dorsey, is your biological father.
Talk about a tough call. Imagine calling your dad to invite him to a daddy-daughter dance, and instead of a yes, you get a find your real dad bombshell. A dramatic moment occurs when Phelan recalls this painful memory from her childhood. The man she believed to be her father rejected her. The audience can't help but gasp, and trust me, it only gets wilder from here.
Instead of his response being, "Yes, I'll be there," it was, "Your mother's still lying to you, not your dad. You need to go find your real dad."
How cruel. I know that had to be hard.
Yeah.
At what point did your mother tell you about David Dorsey?
My mom, we would have our heart-to-hearts, when she got sick, 'cause she was sick my whole entire life. She would be talking about Kimball, she would talk about David. On her deathbed, she told me, "I thought I picked the right one for you, but David's your father."
Enter David Dorsey, the man of the hour, who literally could not have been more aloof if he tried. He walks into the courtroom, barely glancing at Phelan. He expresses doubt about being Phelan's father, claiming he does not remember her mother at all, which surprises the audience. Brace yourselves, the plot thickens.
Mr. Dorsey,
How you doing?
thank you for joining us today. This young woman has waited many, many years to meet you. She's been told that you are her biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
You walked through the doors, you walked right past her, no hug. You didn't even really look at her, acknowledge her.
I acknowledged her. I looked at her.
You don't believe you're her biological father?
Not really.
Why?
Because I don't remember her mother at all.
You don't remember her mother.
I don't know her mother.
You don't know her mother.
No.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, Phelan's godmother, Cassandra Alexander, steps up to the witness stand. She drops some serious receipts, providing evidence of Dorsey's link to Phelan's mother. She recalls seeing Dorsey bring lunch to Phelan's mother at work and mentions their relationship, contradicting Dorsey's claims of not knowing her. Oh, and it's about to get even juicier, so hang tight.
Miss Hannon, you brought a witness with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe it's your godmother.
Yes, ma'am.
Please stand, ma'am, and state your name for the court, please.
My name is Cassandra Alexander, and I am Fallon's godmother, and I was a very good friend, Fallon's mother, Veronica Hanna.
And what information can you provide?
Well, Your Honor, me and Fallon's mother, Veronica, we worked together.
Melody Dorsey, possibly the sister of the century, confidently claims Phelan as her sister, all but sealing the deal with her testimony about their uncanny resemblance and shared background stories. She describes their father as a well-known figure in the community, further supporting the possibility of his paternity. Get ready, because this family tree is about to get a few more branches.
Miss Dorsey, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You know we are here discussing the paternity as it relates to Miss Hannon.
I'm here to claim my sister. That's my sister. I don't mean to disrespect my dad, but my dad was a Rolling Stone. So he was the man, and he was very known on the North Side for being David Watkins, the slayer of women, So
Slayer of women. Okay.
As if a daytime drama script got lost and ended up in court, David Dorsey shares his emotional turmoil over the situation, reflecting on the possibility that if Phelan is indeed his daughter, he has missed 30 years of her life. This deeply emotional moment highlights his conflicted feelings about the paternity uncertainty. Fasten your seatbelts. The emotional roller coaster is not over yet.
What was it that made you want to come today? I mean, if you've never met this woman and you have never had sex with, and you don't know what is going on, why did you come?
I want closure for Fallon.
And I see that makes you emotional when you talk about her. Why is that?
I feel sorry for her.
Is there any part of you that says, if she is my daughter, if it was an encounter I just don't remember, this young woman, this beautiful, smart young woman, I've missed out on her life?
Yeah.
Drum roll, please.
Mr. Dorsey, you are not the father.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, don't be sorry.
Well, isn't this a dramatic start? The court session kicks off as the judge allows everyone to be seated and the case of Short Fifu Johnson is announced. Grab your popcorn because this is just the beginning.
You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Short versus Johnson.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone.
Here's where the plot thickens. Ms. Short steps up, a single teenage mom ready to drop a bombshell. She's claiming Mr. Johnson, her so-called first love, denies paternity of her 21-month-old son Jabari and insists he needs to man up and play dad. Oh boy, you'll want to see how he reacts.
Ms. Short, you and your mother opened your case today because your first love, the defendant, fathered your 21-month son Jabari. You are a single teenage mother who needs help and you demand Mr. Johnson step up and be a father. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Hold on to your hats, folks. In a twist of events, Mr. Johnson, joined by his mother, admits he was indeed Ms. Short's first love, but suggests he wasn't her only love. He's calling for a DNA showdown before he steps into the daddy role for Jabari. The tension is mounting, and it's about to get even spicier.
You are in court with your mother and say you might have been the plaintiff's first love, but you weren't the only one. You refused to do anything for her son until the DNA results prove are his biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Emotions are about to get the best of them. Ms. Short's mom, Sylvia, steps into the fray, pleading for clarity on Jabari's paternity, so Mr. Johnson can either step up or step out. She's been playing defense to keep emotions in check, blocking Mr. Johnson from too much contact just in case he's not the dad. What comes next? Well, you guessed it. It's a tearjerker.
He's the father of my son, and my son, as a boy, need a father figure, and I need extra help, like while I'm in school.
We got to do this for Jabari. Stop. She just need to know, is he the father? So he can step up and do the right thing, and hopefully, we can't make him for coming over because I didn't want no feelings to get involved, them to get attached if he wasn't the father, because she did tell them it's a possibility you may not be the father.
Plot twist, Ms. Short opens up about her heartbreak, catching Mr. Johnson on Facebook with another woman and his cold dismissal of their relationship. This heartache leads her straight into the arms of another man, further tangling the web of who Jabari's dad might be. You won't believe how this love triangle unravels.
I seen him on Facebook with another female, and he was like, I don't want you, I want her. He was talking about the other female. He just left. He just left me. After that happened, it was May 3rd. I went out to eat with some friends.
Okay.
That night, I had met the other boy. And this not my first time meeting him, but this the first time we ever had sex. I'm like, well, Mr. Johnson don't care about me, why not?
Okay. Did you say, I'm pregnant and you're the father?
I said possibility.
Just when you think it can't get any more dramatic, Mr. Johnson, possibly cornered by his feelings and the rumors swirling around, vows to be there for Jabari if the DNA test proves he's the father. But doubts are creeping in, fed by whispers from friends about the other potential dad. Stick around, the drama isn't over yet.
I found out about the baby, and I talked to Miss Short on the phone. I told her if he was mine, I was gonna be there for her. I was gonna help her with the baby. But when I got out and then her friends started telling me that's when I started having my doubts.
Did you know your friends, Miss Short, was telling Mr. Johnson he may not be the child's father?
She was like, because I was like, it was a possibility. So I was like, I'm scared to let moms know. She was like, you need to let them know. After that, I called her. It's a possibility that Mr. Johnson can be the father of my son.
And now, for some Family Feud vibes. Ms. Mabry, Mr. Johnson's mother, recounts her offer of support to Ms. Short amidst the paternity chaos. She's been trying to play nice, but the uncertainty and gatekeeping are really starting to wear her down. Let's see how they navigate this sticky situation.
And you said to her, if you need anything, just let me know.
Yes, and it also went further into a blood test. They wanted me to do a blood test. Other dude saying he wanted to know if DeMaze was the father, if DeMaze's not the father. I'm not gonna go through all that. And another thing about the baby, when we try to get the baby, she have to come and sit with us. We can't get the baby, and she talking about flexing and front and all this, baby, even though we know it was a possibility that it's not my son, baby.
Judge Lake dives into detective mode, trying to piece together the puzzle of Jabari's paternity based on a timeline of romantic encounters. She's looking for the slightest clue that could tip the scales. Watch closely as she tries to untangle this messy timeline.
I had my due date was January 4th.
Okay.
I had him January 8th. I had sex with Mr. Johnson April 23rd. And May 3rd, just too close.
So, Ms. Short, the bottom line is the other person that was a possibility. You reached out to them as well to say that it is a possibility that he could be the biological father. You also know that Mr. Johnson is a very real possibility because of the proximity of the time you had sex with Mr. Johnson and the time you had sex with the other guy, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Here comes a curveball. A letter from Mr. Johnson to Ms. Short surfaces, full of promises and fatherly pledges, written in a moment of believed paternity. It's heartfelt, it's hopeful, it's complicated. Just when you think you've seen it all, there's more to unpack.
So this is a communication between you and Mr. Johnson. He writes, I'll be there for you and my child. I love all mine. That one thing you ain't got to worry about. I'm going to be a great father to my children. So he wrote that letter and promised you in that moment that he was going to be a good father to his child, and believed, it seemed, that it was his child. Do you remember writing that, Mr. Johnson?
I remember.
Fasten your seatbelts for this one. The DNA results are finally revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Like I said.
Get this, Ms. Moore and her sister Shalwanda strut into court with a plot twist worthy of a soap opera. They've been led to believe all their lives that Mr. Moore is their pops, but lo and behold, their mom recently dropped the paternity bomb on them. The courtroom drama unfolds with accusations of paternity fraud against their mother, Ms. Willis. Talk about family dinner going sideways.
Ms. Moore, you and your sister Shawanda grew up believing that Mr. Moore is your father, but are now in court suing your mother for paternity fraud because she recently dropped bomb and revealed that Mr. Moore is not your biological father. Mr. Moore, you are 100% certain that these are your daughters, and the DNA test will prove.
Here comes Mr. Moore, confident as a cat in a sunbeam, declaring he's the biological dad with no room for doubt. He's betting all his chips that the DNA test will back him up. Let's see how his gamble plays out, as the truth serum, aka DNA results, is just around the corner.
Ms. Willis, you admit you intended to take this secret to your grave and came clean to your daughter only because your sister forced you to admit the truth. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Willis steps up with a truth bomb of her own. She planned to take this juicy secret to the grave, but got outplayed by her sister's guilt trip. Let's find out what's next in this family saga as secrets start to unravel faster than a cheap sweater.
So, how has your mother's revelation affected you?
Well, it affected me in a lot of different ways, you know, finding out that apparently my father is not my father.
Take me back. When did you?
When I was a teenager, about 8, we was at my Auntie Miriam's house, the one that's here today.
Brace yourselves for a tearjerker moment. Monica spills the beans on how this whole revelation has tossed her world upside down. Discovering that her dad may not be her biological father has stirred up more drama than a reality TV show. Buckle up as we dive deeper into this emotional roller coaster.
I went and asked her about it, and she was like, no at first, and then she was like, yeah, you know, he ain't your father. He ain't your sister's father as well.
So up until that point, this is the man you believed is your father.
It's the only man I ever knew. So it was kind of hurtful, you know, to go to him about the situation, because he is a good father. He always been around. I always knew him to be my father.
Things are heating up. Monica confronts her mother right in the courtroom, demanding the truth amidst a sea of betrayal. The tension could cut through steel. Stick around because you won't want to miss the reaction when family secrets are aired out like dirty laundry.
If they wouldn't have brought me here, I wouldn't be here at all. But the truth should set you free.
Take me back. You had the affair. You realized you were pregnant.
The timing didn't match up. The months didn't match up. So I knew that he couldn't be his.
So when you did the math, you counted back of when Monica was conceived, you knew that was during the time when you had the affair.
Right.
But you always told Mr. Moore he was the biological father.
All the time. All 3 of them.
In a heartfelt testimony, Mr. Moore recounts his active involvement from day one, including cutting the umbilical cord. He's not just a father figure, he's father of the year in his eyes. But don't go anywhere. The DNA results are up next, and they might just rewrite the family history books.
And so you told him he was the biological father?
Yeah.
You were present for the birth, Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Cut the umbilical cord.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell the other man you were pregnant and it possibly could be his child?
No.
So he does not know?
No.
I possibly have a beautiful daughter.
He don't know.
31 years later.
No, he don't know. Never knew.
He don't have the
He
right.
don't even know she exists.
Whew, now that's hurtful.
To hear that, Monica.
Yeah, it's hurtful because
Just when you think you've heard it all, Aunt Marion waltzes into court to stir the pot even more. She confirms he's spilling the paternal beans to Monica and Shalwanda, setting off fireworks in the family. Fasten your seatbelts because this family reunion is about to get bumpier.
That you were the person that told Monica and Shawanda, Mr. Moore is not their biological father.
They came and asked me, did I know? And I told them, yeah, I know who your daddy is.
Really, you know.
Should have told them a long time ago. I thought it would maybe be her place to tell them.
You'd have shut your mouth, it still would be my place.
Well, anyway, I told them.
Do you know who Monica's father is?
Yeah, it's a friend.
Grab your popcorn because here comes the main event. The DNA results are in, and the verdict drops like a bomb. Mr. Moore is not Monica's father. Despite this, Mr. Moore reassures her of his unending fatherly love. The emotional aftershocks are about to hit, so stay tuned.
In the case of Moore versus Willis, when it comes to 31-year-old Monica Moore, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Moore, you are not her father.
That's okay, baby. I'm still the daddy.
The DNA test reveals Mr. Moore is...
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Moore, you are her father.